we are each and every one needing to be individual beings. What does that mean? Does that mean egoic? No, not necessarily. It means selfish? No. You have no choice but to be an individual being. You are created as such. Even twins are joined at the head or other body parts have to be individuals. So earlier the conversation was about protection. So what I call protection may not be enough for someone else. People have to protect themselves. You have to defend yourself. And sometimes that has to do with what level you are on the path of spirituality. So if you're on the street, you have to protect yourself. In a way, different from if you're not on the street. So protection then is a state of mind. You need to be watching out for yourself and making sure the results you're looking for you're getting. That means you're paying attention to your karmic patterns. Your programs, established programs are working for you. And whatever works for the individual may not work for other people, I think. That is really the big question, say, in terms of protection. Who needs what kind of protection? Is it more or less what other people are doing to protect themselves? We don't know, because some people are more than protection, they're being protected. That's the bigger question. People have to protect themselves when they're not being protected, otherwise.
Can you give an example of Can you give an example of somebody in a situation where they need to protect themselves?
Children. Children. People who don't know enough to make sure they are safe. So people have to be taught how to protect themselves and what to do. Then appropriate behavior protects you, let us say. You have to protect yourself by making sure your car is in good condition, otherwise you might have a problem. So you have to protect yourself by doing what is right for your vehicle, your transportation, protect yourself in many other ways. So, sometimes you have to look up in order to protect yourself and see what's coming down, if there is anything coming down. Or behind you, you have to say, watch. So protection is a big deal and it's normal. So, it takes different shapes at different times depending on the circumstances. But protection is urgently required of all beings. So you have to be aware. So,
is there anything you'd recommend to a meditator or a spiritual practitioner in terms of self-protection?
Just practice. Do good practice. Say, and I think one of the general practices that works indirectly for most people is to do good works. So that means to create good karma if you can. Have a positive attitude in some cases. So it doesn't always answer the demands we have for deeper levels of protection. So, because you have conscious protection. You have protection for when you awake, and then you have maybe no protection for when you're asleep. You may have daytime protection, you may not have any nighttime protection. You may have no dream protection whatsoever. So you have to learn how to protect yourself and in what ways to protect yourself depending on what states of consciousness you need to be responsible for, responsible to. See, regarding protection, sometimes good karma is not enough. People live great lives, and all of a sudden they're caught in the jaws of time and consequence. They're taken out. It's their time. Good karma. then we can say it could be good karma to be taken out at a certain time. It might be better than another time. So there's still a lot of mystery involved in the workings of life, the workings of circumstance, the workings of being human in the time-space worlds, where we're here on karmic terms in every case. What is your karma? What is your karma for receiving injuries? What is your karma for being caught up in bad relations? So all of these are like exposures that people say to themselves, how do I protect myself from these things happening? Some of it is impossible to avoid. Then it becomes your karma. It's like emergency people, emergency workers. They're in danger all the time. That's their job. Military people. Danger is part of the process. We're in danger all the time. Falling, having accidents, and so on. Mishaps. Timing. Then it's timing. How do you protect yourself from time? Understand it. Go to a deeper state of consciousness where you feel, that's what meditation practice is supposed to accomplish, clear energy. It's possible that within the field of clear energy, where you have no obvious neuroses, no obvious pain or struggle with sitting or being, you may, depending on your condition of awareness, be able to have awareness or intelligence that permeates outside of your body enough to warn you and give you a heads up on what could be happening. So people can protect themselves by being open to the field that they're operating in and being mindful of what's going on and what could happen. People in the Middle East have much more than just one thing to be mindful of. In combat zones, it's mad. It's pure madness. You never know what's going to happen. So you're living in fear. So you need to understand some people who are living in fear have the fear to deal with as well as protecting themselves. So different states of consciousness, different people have different levels of stress and confusion and let's say pain. You have people in hospitals being treated and they're under all kinds of stress because they're not sure if they can be healed or if they're going to be healed, if they trust the doctor, if they trust the nurse. All of these things are factors that go through the human mind. Say, what did I do to get here? Why didn't I see it? Blah, blah, blah. Why didn't I see the doctor? All of these things are part of the process of hopefully, ultimately, getting to a point where you do better when you get up and you're running again. Say, no, I need to go for medical help and make sure that, talking to the right people and I can protect myself accordingly, dietarily, psychologically, socially, and so on and so forth. So protection is a universe in a sense. Now, if you're talking about spiritual protection, well, that can come in different ways. Again, that can come through dreams, that can come through conversation with the right people who can tell you, what to do, what to not do in order to protect yourself or preserve your interest. But always being relaxed is a good starting point. Calm. You can start to, I say, measure the waves as you move. As you go from place to place, you measure the waves. And then there's a certain kind of thought process too, meditational, contemplational process, saying, I want good karma, I need good karma, I need positive let's say, experiences. I want to be positive, so I am positive, and so positive is something that can, a positive attitude can be something to create some field of positive energy. The practice of relaxation is cause. It's a causal, say, experience. How deep you go, how long you stay in the condition, that determines what happens to a certain degree. Much of what happens in terms of time future is already created, and you're stepping into it. You have to work with it as it shows up. Okay. Certain dreams can give you a heads up on what those types of events are, depending on your relationship to your dream consciousness, and how you interact with your dream master, let's say. So you have to work with that. So there are many different levels here, and these are highly clarified in the teachings throughout the world, say, in terms of a chakra system. Dimensions of consciousness, and each one has its own universe, its own rulership, and its own sort of code, so to speak, its own karma. The physical is one thing, and you have the astral, see, which is the next thing. See, the subtler version of the physical, right? A harmonic version of the physical. A lot comes through the astral that informs you about what's happening in the physical. While you're awake, you have sensations and perceptions of what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong, what's high, what's low, what's dangerous, what's safe, what's good, so on. You have to pay attention to your mind. So this gets a little bit deeper into basic self-inspectional practice. You have to perceive what's going on. Right? So you know what to do in order to, say, survive the moment, survive the situation, survive the danger, survive the experience, right? Survive the time. Get home in one piece, so to speak. So you have mindfulness theories that say, no, you have to be very present, very clear about everything that's going on around you. That could help up to a point. But then you have other levels that can help even more so. So it's not that simple. You have an unconscious, let's say, or inner consciousness, so that is conscious, that is always protecting you from its vantage point. And now you need to know what that is in terms of your experience. So hey, I was going to do this, and all of a sudden I got a yank to do this, and that was the right thing to do, but I wasn't thinking about it. I didn't even feel it all of a sudden. So this impulse comes up, right? And it offers you clear guidance, but there's no rationale behind it, right? It's like, except it knew the danger yourself did not know. And so this is an important part of the process.
And
so there's an it that knows. And that's what practitioners are very open to learning about and reciprocating with. See? And it knows a lot more than just danger.
Which is an interesting segue into the likelihood that somebody may want a certain thing and feel as though they need to protect that outcome. They would like for themselves to become or to do or to acquire or to whatever.
You do what you can.
Yeah.
Right. Everyone is responsible for their domain. Everyone is their own universe and ultimately their own cause and effect. Master, if you will. Victim. Both. Master and victim. It depends on your state of mind, your intelligence, and what you feel your purpose is, and how you go about accomplishing that. You have to protect yourself from your own bad instincts, your own anger, right? Let's say, which can kill you. Right? You have to be careful. It's a demon. Right? Greed is another demon. Lust is another demon. These are demons, emotional demons. Attachment is another demon. Vanity is another demon. So we have to watch the demons as they manifest because they're built into us. We are creatures of the earth. So we have strong instincts that are offered for our mastery, for our recognition, our training in wisdom, so that we have more force and more energy to accomplish the things we know we need to do that are actually good and productive of healing rather than suffering. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm.
The phrase "protect yourself" has come up, and so I wanted to ask the question: who or what are we actually protecting?
Yourself. Well, obviously. What would be concerned if not yourself for its own protection? Obviously. It's not your soul. Soul doesn't need any protection.
And in some cases, or described certain ways, the self is
yourself,
what's at stake.
let's say your ego, right? Your self-interest, right? Protecting your idea of yourself as an individual, as a separate being, and so on. Yeah, protected because it's liable to be destroyed at any moment, by anything, or anyone whose power of influence is stronger or greater than your own self. Right? No defense, no offense, no fence at all.
Does that also mean no protection?
No need for protection. Right, no protection. Who needs it? That's the question. Some are protected. That's a different thing. You have to know what your protection is. So you don't need to protect yourself because you're being protected. Spiritual protection is not obvious in all cases. Some cases it is. So you have to make sure that you're able to be protected by your practice, by your wisdom, by your goodness, by your love. And your big-heartedness can protect you up to a point. So crisis and obstruction along the path are blessings in disguise. So it's important to have an understanding of what you really are beyond yourself and world, say, inwardly in terms of your spiritual reality. I don't mean religious preferences. Your spiritual reality in terms of surviving time, space, energy, and matter. That is to say, the universe. So, surviving the universe. So when we have these mishaps, we can say they are rest points. Time to fall back, reconsider, recreate, adapt, adjust the ego a little bit here. There's reaching too high or hoping for too much, and there's no karma breach to complete it, right? So you pull back and you become more humble about it and say, okay, all right, have it your way, spirit, or God or Guru, whatever, have it your way. Good spirits, guide me, good spirits, which is what a lot of people say. Please be pleased to guide me along my journey. See? Because the journey is fraught with all kinds of bumps. And debris that comes down the path. That's already there. And that's the challenge. Everyone has signed the deal to have a debris-filled path to walk down and navigate. Right? Sometimes you have friends and people who can support your journey, and you have guidance. But you need to use that guidance to make definite changes. So to clear your path. Are you clearing your mind? Are you clearing your emotions? Are you clearing your desires? Are you clearing your ambitions? Are you clearing your confusions? Are you clearing your division? Are you clearing these things that cause other things to show up as manifestations of your state of mind. So the karmas show up. Say, clear everything. Stop, clear, end the whole circus of mind, world, and karma in general. Stop. No karma. For one moment, no karma. That means no more building neurosis. Clearance. Empty. Peace. Healing for a moment. Doesn't eradicate your debt or your blood karma or your ancestral, I guess you might say, inclinations. But you have a moment, say, to gather some intelligence. Say, okay, I need to move over here. I need to do this. Perspective. Say, changing your flow, your intensity of, say, attachment to things, desires, and you recover your intelligence and your awareness and say, I'm going to relocate that. I'm going to adjust that attention to this now. So what I need is less outgoing, I need more balance relative to outgoing and flowing. And so, it is done. Asking the inner also, asking the inner. So you can say, oh, please self, please inner guide, whatever. Help me to see more clearly what stands in my way, that I can't see because of my blood, because of my huge ego. I can't see. Please help me. I am asking for help. Remember, you're not just one thing. You're not just a mask of self. You are all this other stuff. You are the spirit. You are the intelligence. You are the, enlightenment. You have to appeal. Reach in. What is the enlightened thing to do? Say, whoa. Rather than the self thing, which is noise and sometimes. What is the wise thing to do? See, so we have to make room for that in terms of a mental attitude. I want to follow the current of wisdom. Okay, your inner, your soul or your heart, your guide, inner guide hears that. So, finally asking for something good for a change. Okay, maybe you're gonna. Okay, yeah. Calm down. Clear the channels. Let's see what happens when you do that. So, make way for the light. It's not a bad idea.
So it seems like a lot of people are just on autopilot. They're just kind of going with whatever the mind says.
They don't even know they have a guidance center inside them. They don't stop to think about it. Sometimes they're forced to think about it. Sometimes in the middle of a serious accident, which is really just like stopping you, giving you a chance to come to your senses. You start to think about spiritual things. I've heard that from many people. They weren't even interested in spirituality until, boom, fender bender. Causes them to wonder about their mortality, their vulnerability, and what could happen, a little bit of a shock here and there. It's maybe exactly what the doctor ordered. And then what happens is you can have some reflection as to, well, I've been doing it this way, which is what you were saying, and not really paying too much attention to other levels of my own existence. I'm not really too aware of my own causal plane operations. I'm very aware of the physical and the emotional and the sexual and some mental, but not really aware of causal anything. But I know that the side of the causal that I'm paying attention to more or less is the past, and everything I do is out of the past. If I'm not doing the past, I'm not doing anything. It's all reflecting of the past. I wonder about that. Is there any way to adjust it? Well, now you're thinking causally, and then you realize that time stops, time starts, and it goes, and it stops. There's no time, as well as being time. Think of it. What time can you afford to lose? See? What level of nowness can you not afford to lose? Or ignore? See? As we also know. See? We're also not a self. Mind thinking about your face, your appearance, and your goodies and your baddies and your woes and your hoes, whatever it is, all of it. You're not that. You dramatize that because of the blood, machinery, and momentum in the time-space world. To be social, and to be functional, and to be occupied. Good, but that's not who you are. None of it is true. So you do, but not who you are. So then sometimes it takes tension and stress and crisis in order for people to have a higher sense of things. Say, wait a minute, there's something else going on besides what I'm doing. Right? Maybe a soulful insight. And maybe they can be, let's say, embraced by calmness, clarity, and a sense of peace, beingness. That's what we are saying is missing in the race for time-space accomplishments. It's an absence of beingness, just being. I'm not talking about being quiet necessarily, but being and being grateful. Saying, I'm okay. You better do that sometimes, because you may not have an opportunity after certain things happen to reflect in that way of gratitude for being able to be this lifetime. Then there's fear. Fear of doing things. Fear of going places. Fear of learning things. And the delusion that because you're fearful, you're safe, you're okay. Really. Fear is also dangerous. And we are here to move, so we may not know where to move to that is going to make us safer because we are afraid of moving. Because we are frozen in place by fear. So there's no change. There's no breathing, there's no recreation, there's no life that is refreshing anything. So we have to get from fear, which is useful up to a point, and then transfer to fearlessness. So that we do what we have to do without a concern for it, but not against reason or intelligence. But slowing down to resonate properly with the inner guidance. Say, what's right for the individual to do. Say, and moving forward is the right thing to do. How? Under what conditions? One needs to determine that. Right? But to be stuck and fearful is not healthy enough. Yeah. Sometimes we need to help others move slowly, like people who have problem walking. You give them a hand. That's okay. Help them across the street or across the river, across the great waters if you have that to do. We are here to help one another beyond any doubt. To what degree? You have to have intelligence to know when something is too much or too little. So friendship, genuine friendship can be protection. Can be inspiration. and a step towards becoming fearless. When you have confidence, this person is helping me to move, to see, to grow. This friend is helping. Many who are incarnated do not know why they have so much fear, because they don't go back in the time track to see it. It's not because of anything they did, except to be born into a circumstance where it's fraught with all kinds of psychological fear and damage. Reluctance, hesitation, apprehension, obstruction. People are afraid to eat tomatoes. You say, well, what's wrong with it? I don't know. I just can't eat it. I hate them. Isn't that okay? I've seen it. Fearful things. I hate green toothbrushes. Okay, all right. And whatever it is, as ridiculous as it sounds, what you see is there's a fear there. See, that's for real. Whatever. I hate pink slippers, okay? Whatever the karma was, we just work with the person and say, okay, this person hates, you know what they need to get through, they need to get beyond. It could be that, it could be anything. A lot of people are obsessed with what they look like, and then they hate that. They think they hate that. They believe they hate that. When we are not appearance in reality, the body is not your true. Your soul is your true, and that's speaking metaphysically. Your heart is your true. Your intelligence is your true, more so than appearance. The intelligence doesn't have any appearance, except however you manifest it in terms of your speech and your actions. It's not a color. How do you tell? So we have to overcome fear and thus protect ourselves. For some who are so fearless, they need to slow down and protect themselves. Racing people. Well, that's what they do. So they don't care. And they do it knowing they can go at any moment, but it's what they do, and it's what makes them happy. So most importantly, don't be afraid to stop. Look and listen more deeply. That's hard for some people to do. Maybe not even possible for people to do. Not easily possible. So just stop. Feel you need to cultivate a form of creative boredom. Feel your intelligence working, aside from the machinery and the momentum that has you preoccupied with everything else you do, which is not enough for you. It's not enough. You have to stop. You have to vacate yourself now. Take your vacation right now, here. Okay. Clear your mind, clear your body, clear your emotions, clear your memories, right? Clear your thought, clear yourself, and receive the light in this moment. Feel it. Enjoy it. Know it. Be it. In other words, you can't just be yourself and expect to be happy, in a sense. You can be yourself, but that's pipsqueak. It's pipsqueak. That's a little self. This is what I do. It's not who you are. You want people to believe that's who you are, but there's no way that you're just that. Human intelligence is huge. You can do 1,000 things you don't know or already do if you open yourself to doing that. That's potential. We need to stop and appraise our potential. in terms of what this life offers the individual. See? And it's not about being all you can be. Nobody can be all of that, but you can be more than what you're being if what you're being is stuck in the past and immovable as a result, not able to move beyond that. So what we're talking about then is fear. Fear of growth, a fear of progression, a fear of change, right? A fear of being more than just self. It's really a fear of freedom and a fear of being happy.